Yeah.
Why should we write op-eds?
Okay. So I started by saying we should, I like to talk about the how and not the why, but I'm happy to talk about the why as well. It's the last 3 pages of this book. So that's where I like to spend my time, but I'm happy to talk about it here too. There's a couple of different reasons. One of them is that I do think commentary by experts on matters of importance is a fundamental social good. That's the high level one, and I just believe it is true. That things happen, you know something, providing commentary in whatever public way you can is a social good. Okay, I think that ties in somewhat with the mission of, these things matter. And I mean, it's also, I do think, I don't usually talk about this one, but I do think it is also true that with trust in higher ed, making visible why what you do matters, making visible for disciplines that don't command public respect. I always say, like, economics commands public respect, but sociology doesn't, and history doesn't, and philosophy doesn't. But we also, I mean, these are just many ways of knowing things, and I think economics is a perfectly good way of knowing things. But the ones who get quoted in the newspaper are from some departments and not some disciplines and ways of knowing, not from others. And I think for this other disciplines, like, it's good for us disciplinarily to put the things we know into public discourse for that. And I really do believe the social good, like, it is good. Something happens, you have something to say based on expertise, that is good. I also, though, think academia teaches us to narrow ourselves in really dramatic ways that are, in fact, entirely appropriate to the kinds of knowledge that we work in, which is to say that I was guided, sometimes against my will, sometimes against my advisor's will, into becoming an expert in not just in Venice or not just the 13th century, but Venice from 1190 to 1267, and really focusing on about 9 texts from the early 13th century and a few pieces of art. And that is part of what doctoral knowledge looks like in all fields, right? Different things. But we get to be whole people the whole time. And that there's a good for us as individuals, if we like this kind of work, which not everyone does, but there's an opportunity here to be whole people as writers, as thinkers, as communicators, outside the frameworks that academia imposes on us. And that includes as teachers, right? There's only some things I get to teach, but there are many things I'm interested in and read about and think really hard about. And this kind of writing can really open up spaces to do other kinds of things that are meaningful to you, that can have really real world impacts. And sorry. I've been telling this story now for so many years, and even just thinking about it, I start to get emotional. So I have been suicidal since I was 9. I just wrote about that in the strip last week. I've written about that a lot. That's actually not the emotional part. But I did write about it in 2018 for the first time as I started to get treatment. I think 2018. So I started to get treatment for the first time. And I wrote about being a man, not going to therapy, things you've heard of, struggling, beginning to climb out of it, trying to think, here I am, this highly educated person. I know men do this, but yet I also did it, even though I knew men did it. At 9, I started going to therapy at 44. There's a little gap there. So I wrote about that. And someone wrote me back and said, hey, that sounds like me. I'm going to call a therapist and go to therapy. So that is also good, right? Like that one guy. And that's not a work that I can do as a historian or as an academic. That's just a work I can do as a writer, and I feel pretty good about it, despite the fact that it makes me choke up a little.